Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting session of Indeed and People Matters Top Jobs in India 2.0. I'm Yasmin Taj, Managing Editor with People Matters, and I'm super excited about the way we are progressing ahead with our initiative, which aims at connecting people to their dream companies and roles. The company we have today with us promises that they offer a friendly and inclusive work environment where you will learn, grow, and be challenged every day. The company says they recruit change makers and help them realize their exceptionality. Working here offers a multitude of benefits like collaborating with and learning from award winning designers and engineers through customer projects, hackathons, meetups, and more. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I have the pleasure of having with me Neeru Mehta, VP People Development and Learning, Head of HR GlobalLogic. Neeru has 20 plus years of diverse corporate experience, spanning across leadership roles, HR Global COE leader roles, M&A, and large-scale transformation leadership. She has always strived to raise the bars of business partnering by being a trusted partner and advisor to the leadership team. She's also a certified coach with a keen interest in leadership and transition coaching. As an HR leader who has also been on the business side, she truly believes in stretching beyond traditional HR boundaries and has tried to position HR more than just a department or function and transform itself into a distinctive capability embedded throughout the organization. Welcome, Neeru, and thank you so much for joining us for this exciting session.
Thank you, Yasmin. It's my pleasure, and the topic that we're discussing, I do understand. It's a very engaging conversation that I think we all of us are looking forward to.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for inviting me, and giving an opportunity to share what Global Logic does with the larger audience. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Really looking forward to interacting with you and knowing more about life at Global Logic and what it is like to work in one of the most progressive and innovative companies. So, thank you so much once again. And to all our viewers watching us right now, if you want to know anything specific about Global Logic, please post your questions in the comments section, which is on the right side of your screen. If you're watching this episode through our YouTube channels, feel free to post your questions in the comments section. We will try and answer as many questions as possible. So, guys, let's keep the questions flowing. And without much ado, I'll jump on to my questions for Neeru now. So, Neeru, how do you foresee the overall job market in India shaping up in the next 6 to 9 months?
Very interesting question, and I can definitely share my experience. Of course, the trend lines across the news that we're seeing are definitely going up and up. What I'm seeing is that there are good signs of recovery. A large majority, especially when you look at the IT industry, are coming to the pre-COVID levels. One of the key drivers that I feel for this kind of demand, which is going up now, and we are experiencing that, is the digital transformation that's happening across industry segments. I mean, as a partner to our clients on this journey, I can definitely say that it's a very interesting time where a very significant part of work that Global Logic is getting into is also in the digital transformation space. So definitely, I think demand is going up. I was just reading some, reports for some of the job sites and all. It's a pretty it's almost reported that it's 39 to 40% up from December levels already.
Yeah.
So I think we are on a up curve already, and no need to worry, I guess. All
Yes.
very optimistic.
Yes, thankfully, yes. Fortunately, good times are coming back. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Last year was difficult, but this year,
Yeah.
with these positive signs of recovery, I think it's a good sign. So, thanks for sharing that. And what are the major roles that you're planning to hire for in the next few months, Neeru?
So, our roles would definitely lie across different career tracks, like it would be for any technology company. Across engineering, across architecture, across consulting roles, and I can actually double click a little bit more on the skill level, where we will be hiring for a lot of technology or positions across varied skills, DevOps, Java, plus plus, different combos, microservices, architecture, mobility, different positions, data and ML, different positions. So I think the list is endless. I would encourage people to go to our, stay tuned to what's getting posted on LinkedIn. There's a lot of job postings that are, flashing on portals on our own website. So I think you can get a lot more details. But like I said, the part of work which we are getting more and more into spans across the the digital transformation space, and therefore this relevant skill sets is what we are hiring for most.
Great, thank you. And what about some major locations that you're planning to hire for? And also, now that there have been talks about the remote workforce, are you planning to open up some of the roles to a wider remote workforce as well, Niru?
So I think the answer is, we do have centers in certain locations within the country. So of course, a large part of hiring is happening across those centers. The pandemic has sort of, left a lot of learnings for all organizations. Working from anywhere, working from different centers, that's becoming a norm. We're also shaping our strategy right now in that direction. So yes, remote working, based on the nature of the role, hybrid work models, all of that is underway. I can tell you that very soon you would hear from us,
Mhm.
talking about these different models that will come into place, for GlobalLogic as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think yes, the hybrid workforce model, I think, is something that most organizations are experimenting into, and it's adapting as well at the same time. So there'll be some good news coming that way. So you spoke a lot about how you're hiring mostly in the digital transformation space and technology roles. Can you tell us a little more, like delve deeper a little more into the terms of in terms of skill sets from candidates that who would want to apply for these roles, Niro?
So skill sets would definitely lie,
I'm
like
so
I said.
sorry, Niro, your screen. I'm so sorry, we're not being able to see you.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, no, it is perfect. Yes.
Okay. Okay. In
Yeah.
terms of skill sets, Yasmin, one is of course, the relevant experience in the technology we are hiring for.
Mhm.
That's very, very clear. And I spoke about quite a few technologies just a while back. The other piece is, right now what we are looking at, of course, when it comes to what skills are we hiring for, uh, other than the specific technology skills, it is the learnability of people, it is the relevant experience, right? We based on the role. So a couple of those areas, the right attitude. I think the softer side, I would say, a good learner,
Mhm.
people who really demonstrate that to us, as one of the skills that they have, critical thinking, right attitude, a mix of all that is what is becoming part of our workforce.
Yes, I totally agree. I think in the times that we just are coming out of, learnability, the learning ability of employees became very important because everybody wanted to stay relevant for the changing
Yeah.
times. I think that's a skill set that's really come out to be in demand these days. So thanks for sharing that, Niru. What about the work culture at Global Logic? Can you tell me what it is like for people who work at Global Logic?
So I think the terms or two or three words that would define us would be, an open organization, a friendly organization, a flexible organization, uh, an organization which is obviously completed 20 years, but where it needs to be like, have the enthusiasm of a startup, it has that. Where it needs to be institutionalized, on processes, it's there. So we are keeping a thin balance between, to match up with the young workforce that we have. So
Mhm.
institutionalized, but very, very innovative and flexible, and not just becoming like, there's a focus on having the right processes and guardrails as against just very, very strict policies. So I think that's how someone would experience GlobalLogic: open, friendly, transparent.
Mhm. A great combination of old and new, I must say that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. So, considering the past 1 year that has changed, hiring drastically, have there been any major changes in your interview and assessment process, given everything is happening virtually now?
Mm-hmm. So the overall process, of course, let's go back to the pre-COVID times. We were part face to face, part virtual, for a lot of roles, right? The whole process was split, and the whole logic or the rationale was, it's so important to have a face to face. Before you like really press the offer button, it's good to see the person, understand the personality better, judge the attitude. A lot of those softer aspects was what we were always keeping that final one-on-one or face-to-face discussion. I think over the last 1 year, we've hired across levels, right?
Mhm.
Right from from freshers to laterals to senior management positions, everything has happened virtually. So now we've got a pretty mature virtual interviewing, or rather, I would say the whole offer process,
Mhm.
where depending on the level and the role, there are certain steps that we follow. For freshers, for example, there could be virtual tests and online testing and all of that, followed by of course the way the interviews and all. For laterals, we try and do more and more rounds virtually, again, to make sure that we are capturing a 360-degree view. So yes, I
Mhm.
think everything's gone virtual, but what we focused on throughout this process is to still get the whole view.
Yeah. And are you
Yeah.
planning to come back to the physical interviewing stage again in the future? What are your thoughts on that?
I think for certain roles, we will. Like, if I'm talking about senior leadership and above, absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for a large mass, I think we've also realized, this can be done and it has advantages of scale. It gives us that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think deploying the right processes, there's been a lot of learning. So we will continue with those wherever possible.
Great, great. Thanks for sharing that. And what would be a few tips from you for candidates to stand out in the virtual interviews?
Okay. So this is a very interesting question, and I've been interviewing virtually, like I think would have taken like almost 100 plus, if not less, if not more. So I think some things are very basic. They don't change whether it's virtual or it's face to face, which is being on time, being rightly dressed. Some of those are basic. They're hygiene, and they might not make you stand out, but they can make you stand out wrongly if not there. So
Yeah.
so first focus I just want to say is the basics. Moving beyond the basics and focusing on the virtual interaction, I think a common thing that you hear is my network is not working, or am I audible, or we just keep talking about muting, unmuting before before really we've already lost 5 to 7 minutes. So I think
Yeah.
my advice would be, again, this is very basic but very important, is to please have the right network. Make sure that you're like you're doing your interview on a device which works well, you're accustomed to, so that it's not an issue. Don't be in a noisy place. It's really really very very inconvenient. Make sure you come on video. Some those are, again, some of the things that definitely give a good start.
Mhm.
Other than that, I feel the ability to, again, in virtually also maintain a good eye contact,
Mhm.
being present in the virtual setup, being able to demonstrate your expertise very very crisply.
Mhm.
And again, some of those things, like I said, don't change. I have always looked at people who've demonstrated a flair to learn, constantly adapt. People who've been reading a lot or following the trends, those are the kind of things, if you're able to bring those out, those stories about yourself, again, that leaves an impression.
Yeah, it does.
So,
I absolutely agree.
so
Also
and
about, yeah, please, please.
yeah, yeah, I think being genuine and authentic in any setup is important here also. How you can really be prepared, definitely, but also be as authentic and genuine you can be. And last but not the least, please don't make someone else do the interview for you. We've seen that also, some of those examples of people doing that, and it's really really gone wrong on their career end.
Oh,
So
yeah.
a big no-no to, for taking risks like those. It, again, it might make you stand out in a very wrong way. So
Yeah.
I think some of those things is what I would also caution people against.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a virtual setup and people can think of tricks and trade, in the trade like that, but that doesn't work. Definitely not. So,
Yeah.
yes, thanks for sharing. I think it's being authentic, no matter whether you're being interviewed virtually or in the physical space, is very, very important. Be yourself, I think. And that really, really helps, put the message across to the interviewer also. So, thanks for sharing that, Niru. So, how would you describe the structure of the global logic? Do you have a flat structure, or is the hierarchy important to you as an organization?
So I think, in my view, and when I'm talking about it, it's the large largely the view of GlobalLogic, it is that structure is there to serve a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It is structure helps you. So as long as structure helps you achieve your strategy, it's serving you well,
Mm-hmm.
right? The point at which it starts, becoming a bottleneck for things to happen, or where our culture starts going wrong, is something, which is not acceptable. In Global Logic, we have a very, very, there's a quote that we share, amidst employees or even leaders, is that, uh, do you want to be a node in the human network or a position in the hierarchy? Right,
Okay.
so the influence can be huge when you
Yes.
look at yourself as a node in the human network. So I think structure has its own merit, but at the same time, culturally, when you are an open door, open, flexible culture, we definitely don't let structure become the bottleneck. We are known to be a very, very, like I said, open company. Leaders are accessible all the time. Humility is a big trait we look for. So yeah, hierarchy doesn't work.
Thanks,
You know,
thanks. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Thanks, Neeru, for sharing that. How about upskilling and training program that you want to call out for the viewers here? What kind of investments, or how important is upskilling and training and learning for you as an organization?
I think as an organization, it's our insurance to stay relevant. It's like, we have a medical insurance, we have insurance for our cars, we have insurance for everything. So learning is the insurance for an organization to invest in that, to stay relevant, to be able to serve your next generation of work. That's going to happen. I think same
Mhm.
is the case. For all candidates, I would say that this is your career insurance. If you're investing in learning, it's going to bring, you will definitely be benefited by it, whether in the long run or the short run. It's going to help you. So I
Yes.
think that's our take. We've got a bunch of academies. We are always focused on the next generation skill development. At any point in time, we've got 5 or 6 academies running in the organization globally.
Mhm.
So huge focus on upskilling, reskilling, learning new skills. Yes.
Any particular examples you'd like to give about your learning program, especially in the past 1 year, that became really, really relevant?
Okay. So on the technology end, we've so some of the things were always relevant. I wouldn't say they became relevant because of the pandemic. I think because of the pandemic, we were able to do some mass programs,
Yeah.
or our adoptability of portals like Udemy, or all of those learning portals that we had. It really shot up by almost like 50 to 60% to what you would experience in any other year.
Mhm.
So I think we focused a lot on digital skills development. So then of course we have data engineering is another big piece that we focus on as an organization, skill development. Then we had other academies running, which were design, consulting, so on and so forth. On the softer side, what as a company we focused a lot on wellness. So,
Okay.
mindfulness sessions for people to adapt to what was happening, right, and get skilled in that area. Virtually working together, right. What are the norms that we wanted to create? So we focus a lot on those skills as well.
Mhm. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. And Neeru, if you had to call out three things on why a candidate should join your organization, what would those be?
So I think it's a pretty interesting, and I have always thought about this when I speak to leaders who are coming on board, or candidates who are going to join. I think there are three things that could be the value prop of GL. You get to work on some very, very interesting programs. So the work is in itself is very, very engaging. So for those of you who want to work on cutting edge technologies, where you really transform the whole ecosystem in a particular industry, edtech for example, you might be working for a giant publisher who's going digital. That could be the kind of work. So engaging work is one reason, and the second is an engaging workplace. I think how Global Logic engages beyond the work. right? As a whole, through different clubs, through different learning opportunities. We've got something like GlobalLogic Citizens Club. That's the decision making body of GlobalLogic right at the ground level. Or we've got the GlobalLogic Activity Club, or we've got different forums, different communities. So the workplace that is very engaging, right from the physical setup. We've got these. If someone, I'm sure some of the audiences might have visited GlobalLogic office once in a while. It has a very, very it has an energy of its own. We say that the smell of the workplace or smell of the company, one feels that. So I think that's the second piece. Engaging work, a very, very engaging workplace. Last but not the least, a very, very engaging peer group. Our focus on developing, our focus on our selection, whom we choose to bring into the workforce, people who will be your colleagues, is the third big engaging piece. So I think the workplace, and the people around, those are the three reasons. And of course, growth is I would say, an outcome of being in that setup.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's interesting, actually. I totally agree with you. When work is engaging, when the workplace is engaging, and when the workforce is engaging, I think it eventually leads to growth in one's career and makes it a very
Yeah.
great place to work at. So, thanks for sharing that, Neeru. Neeru, I
and
can
and
see some. Yeah, please.
And by the way, we are a great place to work. We have been, for the last year before that, we've been participating. So I think some of those things also, we're very proud of that.
Yes, absolutely. Great. That's great to know. Thank you. So we have a few audience questions coming in, Neeru, and maybe I could start posing them to you. What, according to you, are some of the jobs that are in high demand after the pandemic? Are these specific areas of ITES that are likely to see high growth and hence demand for a skilled workforce? For example, roles in cybersecurity or maybe blockchain, etc.
Yeah, cybersecurity, absolutely. It's seen a big rising trend.
Mm-hmm.
Second, blockchain. I think yes, it's there, but it's not like it's the big surge area. I feel it's there.
Mm-hmm.
The third is the whole digital transformation piece that I spoke, and that's where the skills of being a DevOps SME, or a Java plus microservices, Azure, AWS, architects. I think some of those are this kind of skills that we are hiring for in a big way, and these are
Mm-hmm.
spread across multiple domains and technologies.
Absolutely great. Thanks for sharing that. So, Neeru, everyone's talking about the focus on diversity and inclusion, and one of our audience members has asked, what are some of the great DNI inclusion programs that you can maybe share from Global Logic? How are you looking at DNI?
Okay. So again, this for us is a piece where we believe in practicing more. And when you look at global logic, from a global standpoint, not just India, we have largely grown inorganically, and it's a very, very diverse workforce.
Hmm.
So when we have our global, meetups, you would find almost every nationality in the room. Right. Specifically, coming to India, there's a bunch of things. We right from our focus on gender, which is a big piece, in the country, to uh, to some other focus areas as well. We've been doing interventions. I can speak about the kind of programs that are happening, especially when it comes to gender diversity for women leadership development, women in technology. That has been a big focus, and there are many programs running at this point in time for high potential careers in that space. In fact, right now as we speak, a batch of our high potential women leaders is in the last phase of that journey. So that's about the gender diversity. uh, there are other focus areas where we are working with people with uh, certain areas, or certain aspects where we are building a strategy with our clients as well. So yes, I will talk more about that when we speak later, but as of now, a big focus is on gender diversity.
Then, okay, great. Thanks for sharing that, Neeru. Another audience member has asked, how are you doing the assessment for your job seekers?
That's another, so it's a good question. Assessments are, it's a combination of processes, right from, right from certain tests which are online, tests at certain levels and below, to interviews, to different levels of interviews that will happen. So typically for somebody between the lateral hiring that we do for somebody between, like, 3 to 6 years of experience, you may go through a written assessment followed by, two rounds of discussion for sure. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thanks for answering that. Also, hiring plans for freshers this year. How is GlobalLogic looking at that?
So we've just onboarded two batches of freshers. One in December, one in in this month, February. So as of now, we have very, very robust hiring plans for freshers. We are
Mm-hmm.
definitely going to go to campus this year as well. So
Mm-hmm.
our overall hiring projections have doubled up. Have almost gone very, very significantly higher.
Mm-hmm.
I would be able to speak about numbers also once we, finish up this year, put out our targets for next year. But yes, it's looking very, very optimistic. And like I
Great.
said, two batches of freshers have got onboarded in the last quarter itself.
Yeah, that's a good number actually. Great. Thanks for sharing that. Also, there's a question regarding HR professionals who are probably a part of our audience here today. For them, can you maybe talk about how the role of the TA, a talent acquisition leader, has changed during the pandemic? Are there any new skill sets that they have to learn, they needed to learn?
Again, it's a very interesting. So there are two things that I'll talk about here. The one is, how has the role changed? I think in terms of the role, pretty much they're targeted to do, what were doing earlier. But I think the whole process, managing in a completely virtual manner, has been a change that they've seen. Pretty much like HR people have managed employees virtually. So
Mhm.
completely the whole employee life cycle journey. In a similar way, talent acquisition professionals are managing the whole candidate journey completely virtually.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that has been a pressure point, I would say, is really, and this is based on experience of talking to the talent acquisition teams, within the organization as well, is that, it's become a very work from anywhere right now. The people that they talk to have a bundle of opportunities. So how do you, literally communicate the value prop of the organization? They are the window to the candidates for us. So how we are training our talent acquisition, uh, you know uh, SMEs right now to basically address the rising expectations of the candidates, that has happened in the, it's really been like a big shift up in the expectations. So
Yeah.
how every organization is getting ready to answer all those questions around workforce model. The new normal is already there, but the next normal, I would say.
Yeah.
So really answering, addressing questions on the next normal. So some of those pieces is where I've seen them, that reinforcement is something that we are doing as an organization. Then we are trying to build further interfaces with the candidates, that help them understand the company even better in a virtual, setup. So I think some of those pieces have come into play in a big way for our recruitment teams.
Yeah, I think yes, that whole piece. First of all, moving from a physical recruitment space to a completely virtual space, I think that itself required a skill shift and also a mindset shift. So
Yeah.
that probably, yeah, how it is, the role has evolved in the past 1 year plus. So thanks for sharing that, Niru. And that actually brings another question to my mind about virtual onboarding. So, to all the people who are listening in today, how tell us more about how Global Logic is doing virtual onboarding of its new hires.
So, onboarding is something that was very close to our heart always.
Mhm.
So, that has not changed. So, it just used to be like slightly easier because a person would enter the workplace and almost half of our job used to get done in half a day. So, I
Yeah.
think everything has been replaced by by thinking about how do we give the same experience in a digital setup to candidates,
Yeah.
right? So day one experience, right? So we've got all those nodal points or moments of interaction put there together, and right from the first from the offer rollout stage to the date that they're joining, to the boot camps that are happening, to the new joiners kit that reaches them like right on day one, just so
Yes.
that they have a feel of the organization, to leadership talking to them, to people. So all those points, the journey that needs to happen on day one, what do we need to accomplish by day seven? It's been something that, we've completely mapped digitally,
Yeah.
and and then we're doing surveys. So our
Mhm.
onboarding surveys, all of those, we are actually using a very sophisticated tool where we are capturing the new joiner insights as to how their onboarding experience is with GL. So I think some of those things are giving us a lot of insights, and we are getting better and better, I would say. But uh, it's a great opportunity, I feel, to
Yes.
impact, and like you said, the remote workforce is becoming a reality. We've
Yes.
onboarded 1,000 employees, 1,000+ employees in the last 7 months, Yasmin, and it
Yeah.
has been like I think I would say 95% plus satisfaction, or the score on on how the onboarding happened.
Lovely. So, if you had to tell some to our audience today who are logging in from various parts of India, so is our opportunities open to people working from anywhere? Are you or are you planning to move into a physical mode of working very soon? So, what's your strategy for hiring, if I may ask?
Like, I think I shared this earlier as well. It's going to be a mixed bag. We do have physical offices in certain locations within the country today. So yes, there is some focus happen hiring that will happen there as we move along for the roles that definitely, and there are many roles. There would be 30 to 40% of the roles which probably don't need a physical interface, can permanently work from home. So some of those can be working from anywhere.
Okay. So there
Yeah,
are opportunities for both actually then.
opportunities for both, and
Yeah.
and very soon you would see positions getting published like that, like this is a
Mhm.
work from anywhere position, but this is a work from a hybrid position with this location or this center. So I think we very, very open in our thinking, and we are shaping our strategy as we are learning. So
Great.
already we've got a staggered approach to people coming into office. We've sort
Mhm.
of enabled that for our workforce. Close to 10% of our workforce has already started coming in. Now you could ask me a question: is it a hybrid model? Is it a fully work from home model? What is it? So I think we are moving towards it, and we're learning in the process. Like, that's the overall strategy.
Great, thanks. And my final question, if you had to uh, talk about Global Logic as an employer brand in one line, what would you say to all the people listening in?
I think this is an interesting one. Um, you know, come shape the future with Global Logic.
Lovely. I think that's beautiful. Beautiful. That's
Yeah.
very impromptu, very spontaneous, but very well said, Miru.
Yeah,
Great.
and I
Yeah.
would leave the room for thought on whose future I'm talking about. It could be the client, it could be the person himself or herself. So but you can definitely shape the future with Global Logic.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. On that note, Neeru, thank you so much for joining us. It was a wonderful conversation and great to know how advanced the plans for Global Logic is and what makes Global Logic such a great place to work for. So thanks for sharing that. And I hope a lot of young aspirants get to join Global Logic and shape the future with you going forward. So thanks once again for joining us, Neeru.
Thank you, Asmin. It was purely my pleasure, and such interesting questions. I think absolutely. If there are any more questions later on, I can definitely respond to them as well.
Absolutely. Yes, we'll come back to you with that. Thank you so much once again. So that's
Okay.
all for now. And we'll be live again at 11 a.m. on 18th of March. Please don't forget to tune in then. See you shortly, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And hope you got great insights the same way that I did. So thank you once again, Neeru.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, everyone, for joining us. Take care and bye bye.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.